Chapter 486. Two immortal goo obtained. I want to see you refine the goo personally. Fang Yuan had a thought as he asked the question to probe the land spirit. The refinement process of goo masters were secretive. If someone saw them, the recipe might leak out or even expose the goo master's unique methods. Of course, this was one of the agreements. Langya land spirit agreed immediately, out of Fang Yuan's expectations. Fang Yuan raised his brows, having a slight understanding. Back then, when long-hair ancestor failed in refining space escape goo, he wasted all of the materials that thieving heaven demon venerable had collected for his entire life. Among them, many goo materials were extremely rare and thieving heaven demon venerable only managed to get them out of pure luck. Thieving heaven demon venerable was a rank 9 demon venerable, to repay his losses as well as saving his reputation. Long-hair ancestor agreed to refine goo for him. Allowing thieving heaven demon venerable to view the entire refinement process was not only to expose the recipe to pay back the demon venerable, it also proved his innocence. You saw the whole process. If the refinement fails, it has nothing to do with me. But now there were no such concerns left. Land spirits were formed from the blessed land's heavenly power, the obsessions of the goo immortals before death. They did not have vile thoughts, they were candid and straightforward. However, Langya land spirit was formed from the number 1 refinement immortal, long-hair ancestor, even though he lost most of his memories. He retained most of long-hair ancestor's refinement talent and attainments. Observing the land spirit refining goo was a huge benefit to Fang Yuan. I had refined second aperture goo before. This time, I will observe the land spirit's techniques and gain some experience to improve myself. Maybe I would get to see a trace of long-hair ancestor's glamour back in ancient times. Fang Yuan was looking forward to this goo refinement. Langya land spirit waved his hand and teleported him to a huge hall. This hall was really big. The diameter of it was at least 10 li. There were all sorts of equipment. There were green copper cauldrons, red steel furnaces, rainbow water tanks, and even cave houses. When goo masters refine goo, they need the help of their equipment as well. The equipment in this hall was like a comprehensive exhibition. It was a huge eye-opener to Fang Yuan. Although he had 500 years of experience due to rebirth, he spent about 300 years wandering and fighting his way up to the top. He only managed to hold his own and freely roam the world to achieve his grand aspirations in his last 200 years. During that period, although he explored many other goo paths, he had to resist the earthly calamities as well as manage his forces. All while gathering his immortal goo refinement materials, he was very busy and overwhelmed. Although his foundation and refinement path could surpass the mortal realm, among goo immortals, he was only second or third rate. There was no comparison to a legend like long-hair ancestor. This is my Earth-grade Room C goo refinement hall. Langya land spirit introduced. As Fang Yuan's expression changed upon hearing it, the land spirit would not lie. Such a grand hall was only one of the many goo refinement halls in Langya blessed land. Earth-grade Room C. How many of such halls did this blessed land have? At this moment, the land spirit waved. At an instant, a few thousand hairy men appeared in the hall. These hairy men were teleported over with a stunned expression, but they soon kneeled on the ground, shouting. The hairy men. Greets Langya old immortal. They spoke at the same time, as their voices echoed in the hall. Langya land spirit's face showed some affection as he said, "Children, you may get up." He then waved his hand and sent the goo refinement materials over to them. Today, we are refining an immortal goo. Use the goo recipe that I gave you to do it. The hairy men were obviously experienced in such matters. Upon hearing that they were refining an immortal goo, the hairy men were stirred as they showed an excited expression. But immediately after, they calmed down and started researching the recipe in their hands before starting the goo refinement. Several thousand hairy men refining goo at once. This was not the first time Fang Yuan had seen this. Among the variant men, hairy men were most skilled at refining goo. They were born with the talent for it. According to the records back in the immemorial era, the hairy men started to refine goo, even tying up Renzu's first son Verdant Great Son, attempting to use him to refine eternal goo. Hairy men refined goo using their talent and inspiration. They worked casually and did not have the trace of tool work left by human goo masters. At goo immortal stage, having already surpassed mortals, to aid them in refining goo, they would raise a number of hairy men. In Fang Yuan's previous life, he had kept some of them in his blessed land as well, but that was Blood Sea blessed land. The environment was harsh and many batches of hairy men died, causing his interest in raising them to disappear. After Fang Yuan became a goo immortal, he had gathered a large number of hairy men to refine goo in bulk for his demonic sect. Precisely because of his own experiences, he could tell that the hairy men here were not ordinary. These hairy men were simply too well raised. Look at their hair and skin. They were clear and shiny. Their eyes had spirit, and their faces were energetic. It showed that they lived in a good environment and had never been tortured by Fang Yuan's spirit. Most importantly, these hairy men were very agile and moved quickly. Each of them were great experts in goo refinement. During the goo refinement process, a few old hairy men even gave their suggestions to tweak the recipe. Looking at their casual movements, Fang Yuan's heart was pounding. Such a group of hairy men, if they were sold in treasure yellow heaven, they would be the elite of elite slaves. There would be at least 21 meters of treasure light. Those goo immortals would fight for them. These hairy men had shocking attainments. Most of them were refinement masters. Several of the old hairy men who could suggest the tweaking of the recipe were already refinement grandmasters. Right now, Fang Yuan was still barely a refinement master, with such skilled subordinates. The refinement process was faster than Fang Yuan's refinement on Sancha Mountain by more than 10 times. These hairy men made the half-done product and handed it over to the old hairy men for inspection before giving it to Fang Yuan's spirit. Fang Yuan's spirit quickly collected the half-done products, and after checking them, destroyed a few pieces and made the hairy men refine them again. After several tries, Fang Yuan's spirit was finally satisfied and started doing it himself, easily getting the half-done product of second aperture goo. This was the same as the half-done version that Fang Yuan had right now, but Fang Yuan knew that the one in Fang Yuan's spirit's hands was way higher in quality. Eventually, Fang Yuan's spirit took out divine travel goo. This divine travel goo's surface was damaged. It was filled with injuries, and Fang Yuan's heart jumped upon seeing that. Lad, it is still not too late to change your mind. Fang Yuan's spirit stopped his actions, urging Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan frowned. After thinking through it, he laughed. No, please continue. Scheming fellow, I couldn't hide it from you. Fang Yuan's spirit cursed, pinching his nose as he teleported several goo worms over along with some precious materials. Fang Yuan stared with wide-opened eyes. He only recognized 2 of them. They were precious items that increased the chances of success in goo refinement. If they were placed in treasure yellow heaven, the treasure light would hit 18 meters. Fang Yuan's spirit's every movement attracted countless gazes. The hairy men were watching in awe as their bodies shivered. Their eyes were full of extreme reverence. Fang Yuan watched with great anticipation. When Fang Yuan's spirit refined the goo, it moved as smooth as water. There were no unnecessary movements or any atmosphere of panic. Fang Yuan's spirit displayed exemplary control. Fang Yuan gained a lot of insights. Although he wanted to continue watching like this, Fang Yuan bit his lips and forced himself to snap out of it. Starting to execute his plan, he sat down cross-legged and took out 2 goo that he had prepared prior to this point. One was clear mind goo. The other was awakened cloud goo. These 2 goo were rank 4. After Fang Yuan injected primeval essence into them, they started working. Clear mind goo turned into a breeze, entering his brain. The cotton-like awakened cloud goo turned into a small white cloud and floated about Fang Yuan's head. Fang Yuan stared at the light lump that Fang Yuan's spirit was manipulating while bringing out 4 top-quality wines. With connecting heaven goo to enter treasure yellow heaven, it was easy for him to gather top-quality wines. For this moment, he prepared at least 14 different wines. Sensing Fang Yuan's movement, Fang Yuan's spirit snorted in displeasure, but did not do anything to him. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly in relief, ignoring the piercing light that made his tears flow. He stared at the light lump intently. Finally, he saw divine travel goo turn into flowing water as it mixed with the other materials. Fang Yuan quickly took out the wine vats and gulped the liquor. At the same time, an intense feeling of tipsiness assaulted him. Fang Yuan quickly activated clear mind goo, forcing himself awake as clarity was restored in his mind. At the same time, awakened cloud goo rumbled and ensured that his mind was at its peak condition. After drinking 4 wines, Fang Yuan was still clear-headed, but he realized that nothing had happened yet. The light was still transforming. It had expanded by many times already since the start. It was larger than an elephant. It seems that divine travel goo has not disappeared yet. Immortal goo are unique. I have to continue drinking. Fang Yuan took out another vat and unsealed it, gulping the content. The light lump shrunk, as Fang Yuan's spirit's expression became more serious as it held the light lump. A moment later, after Fang Yuan drank the 8th wine, his vision was already turning blurry. At this moment, In Langya land spirit's hand, the light lump expanded and shrunk in intervals. After 3 to 5 times, it settled, becoming second aperture goo. The moment second aperture goo was formed, Fang Yuan's body shuddered. As all the drunkenness in his body gathered like the merging of rivers into the sea, condensing into one point. Out of nowhere, a divine opportunity descended as the Dalmark formed, causing this point to explode into one goo, divine travel goo. Second aperture goo. Divine travel goo. Point 2 immortal goo obtained at the same time. Fang Yuan became completely sober as he stood up excitedly, laughing heartily. A truly profound scheme. Langya land spirit looked at Fang Yuan with an expression of fatigue. Its body was also turning hollow and weak. Fang Yuan was the person who obtained thieving heaven demon venerable's inheritance, although Langya land spirit wanted divine travel goo. It could not attack Fang Yuan. The hairy men stared at Fang Yuan with furious, disdainful eyes. This vile human dared to plot against our beloved and supreme Lord Langya old immortal. Fang Yuan paid these hairy men no heed. He stopped his laughter. As he bowed to Langya land spirit, it was just a petty scheme. It is nowhere near graceful. Today, I had a true eye-opener, and had benefited a lot. I am shameful of my actions, but I am respectful towards you. I am willing to become your disciple. Chapter 487. Immortal Goo Transaction. Screw off. If accept you as my disciple, I reckon one day I will die from anger. My children are the best, giving me no worries. Now get lost. I don't want to see you. Langya land spirit kept on waving his hand, refusing Fang Yuan's request to be his disciple without hesitation. He could have obtained the second aperture goo. But Fang Yuan plotted against him and made him offer the successfully refined second aperture goo readily along with losing the divine travel goo. Fang Yuan chuckled, not minding the land spirit's refusal. Land spirits were formed from the obsessions of the goo immortals. They were simple and biased. Their refusal now meant they would still refuse in the future. Such a pity. I originally intended to give divine travel goo to you as our apprenticeship gift. Humph. The people I don't like the most are crafty people like you. The hairy men are still the best. I will tell you the truth. I have already taken 18 hairy men as my disciples. In the future as well, I will only take hairy men as my disciples. All right, give me the second aperture goo. Fang Yuan stretched out his hand. Langya land spirit's expression turned sluggish and glanced at the immortal goo on his hand with reluctance. This was the goo he wanted to refine, and now he had succeeded, but he had to give it up without even getting cozy with it. But the agreement back then had formed a type of will that became a part of the land spirit. He was unable to violate it, and also did not intend to violate it. Kid, I will remember you. Langya land spirit growled and stuffed the second aperture goo in Fang Yuan's hand. This second aperture goo looked like a beetle with 2 sharp ends and a fat middle body. The beetle was the size of a young man's fist. It was like blue jade, and felt soft and cool to the touch. There was a golden eye on its plump back. The golden eye flashed with lightning and had ample spirituality. This is the goo I took the risks for at Sancha Mountain and wanted to refine by all means. I hadn't expected I would obtain this in this way. Fang Yuan sighed, but did not use it hurriedly and stored it in his pouch first. Under the cooperation of Langya land spirit, this second aperture goo was already Fang Yuan's object. But he was still not a goo immortal and did not have green grape immortal essence, so he could not activate it now. You already have the immortal goo. You can leave now if you don't want to use your final chance. Langya land spirit wanted to make him leave. Fang Yuan, however, took out divine travel goo and waved it in front of Langya land spirit with a smile. You don't want this immortal goo? Langya land spirit's brows raised. What? You want to sell it? He had connecting heaven goo and could connect to treasure yellow heaven to buy all kinds of goo refinement materials. Even the human apertures required to refine second aperture goo could be obtained by buying enslaved goo masters and killing them. Second aperture goo was an expendable goo. It would disappear after Fang Yuan used it. Langya land spirit could completely refine another. Of course, the precondition was that he needed to have divine travel goo. Without divine travel goo, he would never be able to refine second aperture goo. Fang Yuan, however, did not directly answer and instead asked, "Tell me, if I use another second aperture goo, can I have a third aperture?" Humph. Keep on dreaming. Langya land spirit immediately scoffed. This is the second aperture goo, not the third aperture goo. You want to form a third aperture? Then go refine the recipe for third aperture goo. Fang Yuan nodded and said sincerely, I also thought so. The land spirit would not deceive him just because it wanted the divine travel goo. At the same time, he also knew second aperture goo's recipe, So he had already deduced this. He asked this just to confirm it. With this, the divine travel goo and the semi-finished second aperture goo with Fang Yuan had lost their use. Fang Yuan already possessed a second aperture goo. He was a lone force and did not have any trusted aid to support, so he did not need another second aperture goo. Moreover, when he observed the land spirit's goo refinement process just before, he knew the final step was extremely dangerous. The light ball's inflation and contractions required extremely strong control, which required at least 1,000-man soul to maintain. How could immortal goo be so easy to refine? Fortunately, back at Sancha Mountain, Fang Yuan did not set his heart in refining the second aperture goo after rebirth. Otherwise, with his strength back then, he would absolutely have had a terrible ending. Just the backlash could put him on the brink of death. Of course, he could also sell them at Treasure Yellow Heaven. But if he did so, he would attract Old Man Yen Shi's attention and expose many of his trump cards. At the same time, the things he got might be tampered with by other goo immortals. Transacting with Langya Land Spirit was different. At least, the Land Spirit would not give him shoddy goods, and also had robust financial resources. So he could buy divine travel goo to refine goo. Last but not least, Fang Yuan could also avoid revealing himself, thus it was very secure. Land Spirit, take a look at what this is. Fang Yuan thought for a while before directly taking out the semi-finished second aperture goo that he had personally refined. This semi-finished product had a vague appearance like a semi-finished pottery. With no hints of life. It was like a piece of gray stone that was carved into a beetle. Its big belly looked elegant with sharp head and tail, but no antennas or legs. Although its appearance was similar to the real second aperture goo, they clearly could not be compared because of qualitative difference. Langya Land Spirit's eyes could not help but brighten when he saw this semi-finished product. To think you had actually reached such a stage. But the most difficult step in refining second aperture goo is the final step. The steps before it can be refined by the refinement path goo masters at master level. The Land Spirit's tone carried a trace of joy. Fang Yuan had divine travel goo and also the semi-finished product. If he could get them both, then only the final step would be remaining to refine second aperture gu. Langya Land Spirit. This temptation was hard to resist. Speak. What do you want? Langya Land Spirit removed his burning gaze and looked at Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan looked at the divine travel goo on his right hand and immediately said, Immortal goo are priceless, so of course I want to exchange it with another immortal goo. This is the old rule in transacting immortal goo. Langya Land Spirit's expression immediately fell. Although it is the old rule, it is not suitable for our situation. First of all, divine travel goo is not practical and can only be used as an escape means as a last resort. In case it teleported the goo master to the depths of a volcano or to the depths of the earth, it would simply be finding one's doom. Secondly, I will be using divine travel goo to refine goo. But what use can second aperture goo be for a land spirit like me? Fang Yuan was happy. The land spirit's gaze was fixed on the divine travel goo when he was haggling over the price. Although he sounded unyielding, his expression betrayed his thoughts. Land spirit, you are too stingy. I know Langya Blessed Land has many immortal goo. Divine travel goo is a rank 6 immortal goo. I won't be greedy and only want to exchange it for a rank 6 immortal goo. The land spirit shook his head repeatedly and said many things, but Fang Yuan did not loosen up. The land spirit gradually felt anxious and fury filled his expression. He looked like he wanted to eat Fang Yuan alive. When Fang Yuan saw that the time was right, he said, Let's do this then. I shall take a step back and exchange for one of your expendable type rank 6 immortal goo. When I have used this immortal goo, you can then refine it again, right? The land spirit's expressions relaxed. Fang Yuan taking the step back first gave him a satisfying feeling of victory. He snorted few times and raised his head, looking arrogantly at Fang Yuan. All right, we shall do it like that. He then spread out his hands and brought 5 immortal goo out of nowhere. Langya Blessed Land's foundation is really strong. Fang Yuan sighed inwardly. He was suddenly stupefied when he looked at them. I want this immortal goo. Fang Yuan's expression was slightly strange as he pointed to one immortal goo among them. This immortal goo was none other than immortal goo Gruel Mud, the perpetrator in causing Dang Hun Mountain to slowly die. He had not thought Langya Land Spirit would refine it. The two sides quickly completed the transaction. Fang Yuan obtained the immortal goo Gruel Mud. He did not put it in his aperture, but stored it in his pouch for the moment. I used all my mental and physical efforts for this semi-finished product. You will be saving great expenses by getting it. We are both familiar with each other now. I will sell it to you cheap. I only need 1,000 hairy men. I won't be greedy. You can give me those old hairy men that refined the goo just before as well. Bullshit. The land spirit was fuming with anger. You think I am a 3-year-old kid? Those hairy men are at least of master level in goo refinement. The treasure light, if they are put in treasure yellow heaven, will be at least 70 feet high. Fang Yuan snickered. He really coveted these hairy men. These hairy men would be of enormous help to him. All right. I don't want 1,000. 800 will do. Bullshit, 800. All these hairy men are my children. I won't sell a single one. Fang Yuan's spirit roared in anger. All things have a price. We can still discuss. Not for sale means not for sale. If you mention this again, you can take your semi-finished product with you. I am not buying it. Fang Yuan was inwardly shocked at Fang Yuan's spirit's firm attitude. He had dropped down the price to the bottom, and Fang Yuan's spirit would clearly have profited, but he still did not agree to sell the hairy men. It seems he really had emotional attachments to the hairy men. This situation was not strange. Many goo immortals raised variant humans in their blessed land like raising pets. They would see their growth and even expend many efforts in raising them. And when they died, the goo immortals would also shed tears because of heartache. Of course, this situation would never happen to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan felt a pity at not being able to buy these hairy men, so he changed his request. Since it is so, then I want to exchange for wolf enslavement goo's recipes. There were large numbers of recipes in Fang Yuan blessed land. After gathering them from ancient times until now, one could even say they were as vast as the sea. It was impossible for it to not have common recipes like that of wolf enslavement goo. Fang Yuan had been wanting to purchase these recipes all along, but ever since he discovered the existence of Old Man Yin Shi, he had been restraining his actions in Yellow Treasure Heaven. Wisdom Path Goo masters were experts at deductions, but deductions need a foundation and require large amounts of information. With these information as the base, they could then deduce and predict the outcome. If Fang Yuan wantonly bought wolf enslavement goo recipes from Yellow Treasure Heaven, it was hard to guarantee that Old Man Yin Shi would not be able to deduce something. Take them. These are the recipes for rank 1 to rank 5 wolf enslavement goo. Fang Yuan spirit handed a large stack of recipes to Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan skimmed over them and saw that there were 8 types of recipes just for the rank 5 wolf enslavement goo recipe. They used different materials and different procedures to obtain the similar goo worm. And there were even more types of rank 1 to rank 4 wolf enslavement goo recipes. This transaction is worth it. Fang Yuan was inwardly happy. Transaction is finished. You can leave now. Fang Yuan's spirit impatiently waved his hand. Fang Yuan, however, smiled. No hurry, no hurry. I still have a transaction you will definitely be interested in. Young man, don't talk big. There are not many things that can interest this old man in this world. Fang Yuan's spirit stroked his beard and said with pride, what I am transacting this time is information. This information is about the time I will use the second aperture goo. Fang Yuan's spirit's expression turned sluggish and looked dazedly at Fang Yuan. His brows deeply furrowed and looked at Fang Yuan with intense disdain and hatred. How can you be so despicable and shameless? Aren't there any limits to the degradation of your morals? Ha ha. Fang Yuan laughed loudly. Could it be you are not interested in this information? Fang Yuan's spirit immediately felt like he had been raped, and he still had to bear the humiliation to apologize to the criminal. Could he not be interested? The second aperture goo was an immortal goo, and immortal goo were unique. If Fang Yuan never used it, then he would forever be unable to refine another second aperture goo. How do you want to sell it? The land spirit endured the impulse to beat up Fang Yuan and asked, swallowing his anger. Fang Yuan narrowed his eyes, sharp rays of light flickering in them. I won't take advantage of you, so I want to exchange information for information. I want to know all the information about the 88 True Young building in Imperial Court blessed land. 88 True Young building? You actually know that this immortal goo house has something to do with me. The land spirit was shocked. Chapter 488, Ma Ingjia. Thud, thud, thud. A series of hurried sounds came from afar. Soon, a group of goo masters riding terror claw horses came to the swamp. Terror claw horses had bloodshot eyes with fangs and were carnivorous. They did not have any hair on its body. The skin was tight and their muscles were clearly visible, giving a feeling of strength that could not be underestimated. The most peculiar point was that they did not have horse hooves, but instead had 4 long sharp claws. There were also webbings connecting the claws, so terror claw horse were not only suitable for climbing, but could also move freely at swamps. Lord Elders, they have passed through here towards that direction. An investigative Gu master's eyes flickered with red light as he scanned all around and reported that a young Gu master at the side immediately frowned and anxiously said, "Not good, uncle. If we continue along this way, we will reach Rock's Pool over there. Once they cross Rock's Pool, they will be out of Warm Pond Valley. It will be difficult to kill them then. Relax. Fei Qing has been struck by your dad's poison goo and is in imminent crisis. Moreover, he is bringing his child with him. The further he moves with his ghost cloud, the more the poison will worsen. He won't be able to run far. Let's continue our chase." The elders laughed and waved their hand, continuing the chase. After they chased into the sparse woods, the swamp they had been standing at suddenly surged and a yellowish silkworm drilled out. The silkworm was broken from the inside, and two people walked out. A middle-aged Gu master and a child. The two looked in a very miserable state and gasped for breath as they dropped to the ground. "We finally deceived them." The middle-aged Gu master, Fei Qing, had a purple hue all over his face. The poison had spread deep. His movement goo, the swift ghost cloud goo, had been tampered with. Fei Qing had been feeling something wrong when they were chased all the way. Thus he immediately gave up the swift ghost cloud goo and let it fly away. After that, he took his son and hid within the swamp. But with this, he lost his movement ability and his body was also poisoned. There was no longer any hope to escape. "Fei Chong, you despicable person. For the clan leader position, you actually secretly poisoned me. Your own cousin. Damn it, you abomination." Fei Qing got more angry the more he thought about it. Under this desperation and with fury filling his heart, he suddenly spurted out a mouthful of green blood. Father, are you okay? You need to hang on." The child started weeping when he saw the blood and threw himself into Fei Qing's chest. "Son." Fei Qing's despairing eyes showed a trace of hope and resolution. He lovingly looked at his only heir and rubbed the small head. "Little Kai, father can't go on. Fei Chong has plotted deeply. I can only deceive him this one time. Not long later, he will definitely find something wrong and return back. Leave quickly. Father will hold off these people for you. Go along that small path I told you of, and perhaps you can survive on." "No. Father, I want to leave with you. Let's run together. Father, I beg you." The son, Fei Kai, wept in grief. Fei Qing was feeling very anxious, so he roused his spirits and grabbed Fei Kai's shoulders. "Little Kai, don't cry. Northern Plains men can shed blood, but not tears. You need to have confidence. In your body flows giant sun immortal venerable's bloodline. You are a member of the Huang Jin family. The bloodline in you is thick and rarely seen. You have the qualifications to enter 88th True Yang building." Cough, cough. Green blood continued to seep out from Fei Qing's mouth and nose. "Little Kai, take care of yourself. If you have a chance in the future to enter Imperial Court Blessed Land, go to 88th True Yang building and obtain the Grace Ancestor Giant Sun left behind for the later generations. Only then can you avenge me. Father, leave. It will be too late if you delay any longer." Fei Qing pushed his son. Fei Kai took back several steps, helplessly looking at his father with tears-filled face. "Leave quickly." Fei Qing growled. Fei Kai wiped away his tears before tears immediately fell down. He fiercely gnashed his teeth, turned around, and ran. "Son, father has done his best. As long as you can escape the evil clutches." Fei Qing sat on the ground and looked at Fei Kai's receding figure. But soon his eyes gradually widened. "Fool, stop." Fei Qing could not help straightening up his upper body and shouting at his son. "Fa father." Fei Kai had only run a few steps before he heard Fei Qing's shout. He gazed back with doubt. Veins popped out of Fei Qing's forehead as he shouted. "You idiot! I told you to run towards northwest direction. Why are you running towards southeast? Are you thinking of going back to the tribe camp to look for your own death?" "Ah!" Fei Kai quickly changed direction, but Fei Qing soon shouted again. "You dunce, that is southwest direction." Fei Kai quickly changed direction again, moving towards the correct path, and only then did Fei Qing let out a breath of turbid air. Sigh. The middle-aged Gu master helplessly sighed. His son had thick bloodline, but was somewhat of an idiot and moreover had a really poor sense of direction. Could he truly escape to see the day? Thinking of Fei Chang's deep conspiracy, Fei Qing did not have big hope, but he had done what he could do. Now it all depended on the heavens. after a while. Like Fei Qing expected, Fei Chong returned with a gloomy face, leading 3 Gu masters on their terror claw horse. Fei Qing. Humph. You were sure enough hiding here. Fei Chang's voice was gloomy and hoarse, his gaze as sharp as a knife, not concealing the dense killing intent within. To think I would die by a vile character like you. Fei Qing scoffed with disdain. Right now, his body was already paralyzed and could not budge. Fei Chong snickered coldly and said with an expression like that of a cat playing with a mouse, I won't kill you so quickly. Fei Qing, aren't you noble and aloof? Wait till I capture your son. I will let you witness your son being tortured and killed. Fei Qing couldn't keep his calm anymore and stared furiously. Fei Chong, you are his senior. To think you actually can be so vicious. Humph. When you cut grass, if you don't root it out, then it can grow again when the spring wind arrives. Men, bring Fei Qing to me. Fei Chong ordered. The Gu masters beside him immediately moved and bound Fei Qing tightly. Then using a hemp rope, they dragged him on the ground. Fei Qing, get a good taste of the mud. Chase, we must find that kid and kill him. Fei Chong laughed loudly, full of satisfaction. Fei Chong was thinking. Since Fei Qing was caught, catching that stupid kid would be an easy matter, but reality was different. Fei Chong came to the rocks pool, but he did not find anyone besides his men. CK. This kid didn't run towards here? Speak, where did he go? Fei Chong asked in a chilly voice. Fei Qing had been dragged all the way. His body was badly battered and had already lost his consciousness. Fei Chong kicked him awake, but he only got Fei Qing's ridiculing gaze. Fei Chong laughed sinisterly. You think I won't know if you don't speak? Saying so, his eyes let out a weird light that shone on Fei Qing's body. Fei Qing's body shuddered, his soul immediately receiving heavy injuries. Soul Search Gu. Fei Chong stretched out his bony right hand and grabbed Fei Qing's head before closing his eyes and agitating his primeval essence. Fei Qing's body shuddered and started foaming. The 2 Gu masters at the sight kept quiet and feared. In an instant, Fei Chong opened his eyes. His face had paled and his gaze was blurred. This rank 3 Soul Search Gu could search a portion of the memories stored in the soul. But it had a lot of restrictions. First, the memories it obtained would be very disordered, and secondly, it could not be frequently used. Otherwise, it could confuse the soul and make one have blurred consciousness. Thus could be extremely harmful to oneself. Fei Chong had grievances with Fei Qing for a long time, and also knew Fei Kai had a thick bloodline. He could only be at ease when he personally killed the kid. Thus, he did not stint on using Soul Search Gu. So there was a hidden path nearby. Fei Chong smiled proudly. He was fortunately able to search the memories he wanted. He turned around his horse and immediately moved towards that hidden path. But when they arrived at this place, he could not find any traces of a person. How can this be? That kid is still not of age and has not opened his aperture yet, is only a mortal. It is impossible for him to hide from my investigative Gu. Could it be the memories I plundered is only a part of the crucial point? Fei Chong scouted once more and saw the narrow road in the bushes. His face became very cloudy. Woo-woo. Right at this time, a deep and powerful bugle horn sounded from outside the Warm Pond Valley. Fei Chong and the rest immediately paled. Lord Elders, please go back to reinforce the troops. Ma tribe has brought a huge army, starting a war without any notice. The tribe is already a state of emergency. A Gu master hurried over on a flying bird with the information. What? Fei Chong was extremely surprised. Just as the Fei tribe's internal disorder had started, Ma tribe came to invade. This timing was too coincidental. If there is no Fei tribe, then what meaning would there be in taking the Fei tribe's tribe leader position? Defend to death. We must defend. Warm Pond Valley is easy to defend and hard to attack. Ma tribe's army retreat isn't impossible. Right, I still have hope. Thinking of this, Fei Chong immediately threw Fei Kai off his mind, then hurriedly rushed to the tribe camp. However, Ma tribe's invasion had been planned in advance. They took advantage of Fei tribe's internal disorder and ambushed. Fei tribe might have the advantage of occupying Warm Pond Valley, but they finally could not resist Ma tribe's strong and huge wave of soldiers. Right as Fang Yuan entered Langya Blessed Land, a great event occurred in northern plains. A large-scale force of the Huang Jin family, Fey tribe that were occupying Warm Pond Valley was exterminated. No doubt this news would create a huge influence in the whole northern plains. On a slope, Ma tribe's higher-ups were observing the ruined Fey tribe camp from their war horses. These people were circling around a young man, like the stars surrounding the moon, seeing batch after batch of goods being stored in the carts and groups of captives being escorted away. Ma tribe's higher-ups had a joyous expression. One rank 3 Gu Master Elder cupped his fists towards the young man in the center. Congratulations to young Master. It was all because of young Master's plan to drive a discord and create internal disorder in Fey tribe that we could so easily capture Warm Pond Valley, swallow Fey tribe, and establish great merits for the tribe. This young man was Ma tribe's young tribe leader Ma Yingjie. He had a wide back with thin waist, sharp brows and bright eyes, a heroic spirit, and a cultivation of rank for middle stage. He was an enslavement path Gu master with some fame, also called Little Ma Zun. Chapter 489, The Debate About Chang Shanin. They won, but Ma Yingjie did not show any arrogance. Instead he said, Warm Pond Valley is easy to defend and hard to attack, possessing large areas of warm pools. The Great Blizzard is about to come, and this place is a naturally protected place. By obtaining it, my tribe has a base of operations. We can advance while attacking or defend if we retreat. But the thing I am even more happy about is obtaining over 200,000 Terraclaw horses. With these horses, Uncle can greatly raise his horse group scale and increase my Ma tribe's supreme might in the coming Heroes Assembly. His uncle was none other than one of the current 3 great enslavement masters, Ma Zun. When Ma Zun was mentioned, all the Ma tribe's Gu masters showed admiration. Before we left, Uncle had told me. It was not easy for our Ma tribe to become a large-scale tribe. Only after several hundred years of accumulation, efforts, and extraordinary fortune were we able to reach this state. But as the tribe grows, defending this foundation is becoming more difficult. Even by striking Warm Pond Valley, we have only obtained a base to preserve the fire. The only way to preserve the whole tribe is to advance a step further, that is to enter the Imperial Court. Ma Yingjie looked at everyone before continuing. Imperial Court blessed land is giant son Immortal Venerable's grace left to his descendants. Especially that 88 True Young building, which has the inheritance of the Immortal Venerable. Uncle said my bloodline has already fulfilled the criteria to enter 88 True Young building. If I can obtain Immortal Venerable's inheritance and later become a Gu Immortal, our Ma tribe will become the new super tribe of Northern Plains. Super tribe, this phrase immediately caused the Ma tribesmen to show a spellbound look. Young tribe leader, you are a once-in-100-years genius of our tribe. Our tribe's future lies on your shoulders. Lord Ma Zun might be taciturn, but he really cares about the tribe in his heart and has a far foresight. Being able to witness everything and fight with young tribe leader is my lifetime's glory. Young tribe leader, lead us to brilliance. Ma tribe's Gu masters cheered excitedly. Ma Yingjie smiled. In truth, Ma Zun had never said anything like this, and these words were all his own fabrication. Borrowing Ma Zun's prestige, Ma Yingjie added light and color to his name. Just think, even Ma Zun looked so highly of him, so the others would have to be blind to not support him. Ma Yingjie was also not worried that Ma Zun would tear apart this name after he knew of this. Ma Zun was an eccentric. He spoke extremely few times even as a child. His silence almost made his parents think he was a mute. Ma Zun loved horses and was jokingly called horse maniac and horse fool by the tribesmen when he was young. He had a reclusive nature and never married in his life. He only loved horses and would live with them all year round, with not even a slightest bit of interest and concern towards worldly powers and affairs. Ma Yingjie's gaze brightened like stars. All of you are the pillars of my Ma tribe, with many outstanding points that are worth for me, Ma Yingjie, to learn. I am still young. My tribe cannot be supported by me alone. In the future, I hope to rely on everyone's help. What is young tribe leader saying? Young lord's words make us blush with shame. Over these years, young tribe leader's performance has deeply entered our hearts. We will definitely follow you. The group of Ma tribesmen quickly agreed. Ma Yingjie continued. Although Uncle Ma Zun has entrusted his hope on me, we still need to look at destiny to obtain the Immortal Venerable's inheritance in 88 True Young building. But even if I can get it, there are many inheritances left all over the Imperial Court blessed land besides the True Young building. Thus, all the tribes who have entered the Imperial Court throughout history had a huge raise in their strength. Every time I think about this, I cannot help feeling excited. The tribesmen laughed heartily. not just excitement. Even my saliva drips out every time I think of it. Haha, young tribe leader does not need to have too much pressure. If we lose, we can come back again. Our Ma tribesmen are warriors who will never surrender. Imperial Court Blessed Land was similar to Tian Ti Mountain in that Gu masters often left behind their inheritances. Northern Plains had a very cruel environment, with there being a great blizzard every 10 years. The snowy disaster engulfing the entire Northern Plains. The blizzard would cut through everything like knives. Many inheritances set up in the wild would be destroyed. Thus, setting up inheritances in Imperial Court Blessed Land had gradually turned into a tradition of Northern Plains. Imperial Court Blessed Land had many other inheritances besides the 88 true young buildings, immortal venerable inheritance, waiting for their fated person. Of course, this fated person had to first enter Imperial Court Blessed Land to be able to receive the fortuitous destiny, being able to evade the blizzard and live safely, along with the inheritances spread everywhere, was the reason why the struggle for Imperial Court would cause intense contests between all the tribes of the grassland. This contest involved the whole Northern Plains and was of an extremely large scale. Small-scale tribes wanted to survive, mid-scale tribes wanted to advance, and large-scale tribes wanted to defend their foundation. Not only righteous paths, but even demonic path Gu masters wanted to enter the Blessed Land and seize the Gu master inheritances. For this struggle, the Heroes' Assembly came into existence and slowly took form till it became a firm tradition of Northern Plains people. As the Great Blizzard approached, all the famous regions of Northern Plains would hold a Heroes' Assembly at the same time. We have annihilated Fei tribe this time. It will bring us great benefits in our progress in Tian Chuan's Heroes' Assembly. As long as we can subjugate Qing tribe, our Ma tribe will have a strong lead. Right. Only by winning the Heroes' Assembly can we attract more experts and make many tribes attached to us. This is the first step of the Great Battle of Northern Plains, and also the most important step. We are looking to enter Imperial Court Blessed Land, so we need to survey other regions too. Yutian's, Mengcho's, and Chao Fu's Heroes' Assembly all need to be observed closely. Just as Ma tribe's higher-ups were passionately discussing, a messenger Gu master rushed in and delivered the newest intel to Ma Yingjie. Ma Yingjie's face turned gloomy as he read the intel and shortly after, handed this intel to the group beside him. Everyone read it one after another, letting out small exclamations, gasps, or conjectures from time to time. Dongfang tribe has already subjugated Zhao tribe. With this, they are the ruler of Chao Fu's Heroes' Assembly. In Mingqiu region, New Air tribe has actually sent New Air too. Their momentum is very terrifying. I am afraid Lui tribe won't be able to hold them off. There is also an uproar in Yutian's Heroes' Assembly. The Wolf King of before, Changshan actually appeared. This Changshan is really fierce. He actually led Ge tribe and challenged 3 tribes, even defeating Pei Yanfei. In Yutian region, He tribes He Lulan and Lu tribes Lu Wenwu are the elites. Now that the Wolf King has appeared, this will definitely have a big influence. It is very difficult to say what will happen in Yutian's Heroes' Assembly. Soon, everyone's discussion focused on Fang Yuan. Changshan's identity had already spread for many years in Northern Plains. Now, suddenly, he resurrected and was causing a stir. Ge tribe was only an ordinary mid-scale tribe, but with Changshan's meddling, they were able to forcibly challenge 3 tribes and even defeat an expert like Pei Yanfei. Especially when they made inquiries and found Gu tribe's newly appointed tribe leader was only a rank 3 young Gu master, their evaluation of Changshan raised by several layers. Every 10 years, heroes emerge and vie for supremacy with monsters and freaks, emerging from every corners. It is only that this time, such a great character jumped out. Young tribe leader, if this Wolf King Changshan and our tribe's Lord Ma Zun fought, who would win? Everyone could not help having some worries. Ma Yingjie slightly furrowed his brows. If it was other paths Gu masters, it would be all right. But this Changshan was an enslavement path Gu master, an expert in fighting 10,000 with 1. He could change the situation alone with his huge troops. You have all read the intel. Enslavement paths Gu master's strength depends on the scale of their beast group. Changshan has reappeared only recently, so the beasts he has are only some ordinary turtleback wolves, night wolves, and wind wolves, and also has only 3 myriad beast kings. One has died and another is heavily injured. How can he compare to my uncle Ma Zun? Ma Yingjie coldly snorted and continued to raise the morale. Uncle Ma Zun has a horse group with 300,000 horses. Adding on these terror claw horses, the scale will expand to 500,000. Besides this, he also has a horse emperor, 9 myriad beast kings, and 5 mutated horses. Now say yourself, can the Wolf King be mentioned on equal terms with him? The surrounding Gu masters took a sharp breath, shocked and happy. I didn't think Lord Mazun's strength would be so big. The insignificant Wolf King is like a baby when compared to Lord Mazun. 500,000, such huge scale. It is enough to annihilate 7 or 8 mid-scale tribes. Ma Ying-jie changed the subject, but Wolf King Chang Shanin still cannot be underestimated. My tribe is going to become the master of imperial court. We will run into this person sooner or later. More importantly, in case he joins the Heroes' Assembly and attaches himself to a Huang Jin family, he will definitely receive huge assistance. Large number of Gu masters will help him to subdue wolf groups and urge him forward. The joy on everyone's faces gradually dimmed down. This young Gu master heaved a deep sigh and continued, "We have swallowed Fei tribe. This is only the first step of our journey. Next, we will be facing even more strong opponents. We need to unite together. Only then can we defeat them and enter the imperial court." Yes, young tribe leader is right. Young tribe leader is wise and powerful. I am in great admiration. With the leadership of the tribe leader and young tribe leader, our Ma tribe will definitely rule the northern plains. Everyone was unconsciously battered by Ma Ying-jie's few words and became even more aligned towards Ma Ying-jie. This Ma tribe's young tribe leader let out a pleased smile in his heart. On the surface, he showed a light and confident expression. "Father, you died such a miserable death." Right at this time, a tragic cry sounded from the foot of the hill. This sound attracted the Ma tribesman's gaze. Ma Ying-jie looked at the battlefield where corpses strewed the battlefield. A child had thrown himself on a corpse that was filled with scars and cried very grievingly. "Brat, get lost. You are already my Ma tribe's slave." An adult man at the side beat up the child and dragged him forcibly. But this kid struggled with all his might and bit at the adult man's wrist. The adult man screamed, loosening his hand. The kid scampered along the way and again threw himself at that corpse, crying bitterly. Sigh, Ma Ying-jie let out a sincere sigh. This misery and suffering is not what I wish for, but in these troubled times, who can live well by themselves? If you don't die, then I die. Human power is so insignificant. I will do everything I can to protect our tribe to not let the children of my Ma tribe suffer such a fate. Young tribe leader is benevolent. The surrounding Gu masters also sighed. Ma Ying-jie pointed down. This kid is a loyal and filial person, but is facing this difficulty because of me. One of you, go stop him and bring him here. He will become my personal servant from now on. Yes, Lord, his attendants answered. They did not dissuade it, as adopting servants was a tradition in northern plains. Moreover, what threat can a 13-year-old kid who had not awakened his aperture possess to their lord? Young tribe leader. Kid, get up. A higher-up of my tribe stopped the adult man from beating the kid and grabbed the kid's neck. The kid struggled fiercely. "No, I want to be with my father." "Kid, your father is already dead. Your luck is good today. My tribe's young leader has noticed you and is taking you in as his personal servant." The Ma tribe's higher-up said with a gentle voice. But the kid did not listen and only kept on crying. "Father, father." Suddenly, he stopped and looked sluggishly at his father's corpse. "Ah, you are not my father. My father's skin is darker than yours and his nose bridge is higher than yours. He also has some white hair." The kid talked to himself in shock, before furiously kicking the corpse and started crying again. "Father, where are you?" Dark lines appeared all over every Ma tribesman's forehead. Chapter 490, Second Aperture. While the chaotic situations converged in northern plains, the transaction in Langya Blessed Land also reached the end. You want the information of 88th True Young Building? It is not impossible. Langya Land Spirit muttered before looking at Fang Yuan with a sharp gaze. Langya Land Spirit's obsession was related to Space Escape Gu and Great Dream Immortal Venerable. Moreover, Giant Sun Immortal Venerable had already passed away, and Langya Land Spirit was also not the long-hair ancestor himself, but a different living entity. When the Immortal Gu House was refined, only Giant Sun Immortal Venerable was there as the bystander. "How could you know such a secret?" Langya Land Spirit asked. Fang Yuan smiled. In his previous life, Ma Hongyan entered the 88th True Young Building and obtained the inheritance of Giant Sun Immortal Venerable. Later, Ma Hongyun was defeated and was chased until he mistakenly entered Langya Blessed Land and obtained the destiny left behind by Demon Venerable stealing heaven. Langya Land Spirit saw his tracks and, while discussing, spoke of this secret. Ma Hongyun became a Gu Immortal later on, turning into a cornerstone of the northern plains. a great hero who resisted the invasion of the central continent. In an intense conversation once, he spoke of this secret which then spread out to the world. Naturally, Fang Yuan would not admit this fact in front of Lang Yalan's spirit. I have inherited the inheritance of thieving heaven demon venerable, and have many clues regarding giant sun immortal venerable as well. The reason I know of this secret is from calculations and deductions, Fang Yuan answered with a slight arrogant smile appearing on his face. Lang Yalan's spirit looked at Fang Yuan's expression and suddenly realized something as he asked, "Are you?" "Yes, Junior has some attainments in wisdom path." Fang Yuan casually lied with an extremely honest expression. Lang Yalan's spirit sighed. The gaze he looked at Fang Yuan carried a complicated expression. Wisdom path appeared long ago, tracing back its origins. It was created 3 million years ago in ancient times by an almighty rank 9. This person was a rarely seen female venerable. She was called by the world as star constellation immortal venerable. She controlled heavenly court as the second-generation immortal king. It was rumored that she had once held wisdom gu itself and created the wisdom path. Before her death, she deduced heavenly secrets and made 3 arrangements for the 3 million years after that. After her death, 3 demon venerables appeared successively in human race, each charging their way to the heavenly court, but were blocked by these 3 arrangements in the end. Being able to calculate the appearance of 3 venerables, one could see some grandeur of wisdom path from this. Kid, you were actually able to deduce to this degree. It seems you have indeed obtained the essence of wisdom path. After learning Fang Yuan was a wisdom path gu master, the land spirit's tone unexpectedly became milder. To this age, there were extremely few true inheritors of wisdom path, but even then no one would have contempt for wisdom path gu masters. Wisdom path gu masters were good at scheming and deductions, and many of their enemies would not even know how they died. Moreover, since ancient times, refinement path was closely connected to wisdom path. To comprehend the world and deduce gu refinement recipes, gu masters would need to use many methods of wisdom path. Many gu refinement masters and grandmasters would request help from wisdom path gu masters when they met a bottleneck in creating recipes. Lang Yalan's spirit was disgusted with Fang Yuan's slyness. But when he knew Fang Yuan had extraordinary achievements in wisdom path, his attitude became gentler. Lang Yalan's spirit liked refining gu, and naturally also liked researching and innovating gu recipes. In this process, he would naturally encounter many obstacles which would be hard to resolve with just his wisdom. Maybe I will have to request his help to deduce recipes in the future? This thought emerged in Lang Yalan's spirit's mind. As the saying goes, one can be austere if he has no selfish desires. Since Lang Yalan's spirit had some request for Fang Yuan, his attitude naturally turned better. He summoned a rank 4 east window gu and held it. This gu was a rank 4 gu under information path. It was like a ladybug, but its carapace was square-shaped like a window frame, and was especially used to store information. Lang Yalan's spirit poured his thoughts within it and loosened his hand only after a while. East window gu opened up its window-like carapace and flew, making a circle in the air before flying towards Fang Yuan. Fang Yuan sent out his thoughts and checked it. His face immediately revealed joy. This is the information you wanted. Now, it is your turn. Lang Yalan's spirit reminded. Fang Yuan chuckled. Since second aperture gu is formed, I also am somewhat impatient to use such a good thing. I will send you the news before I use it. Slow down. Lang Yalan's spirit showed its cleverness. How would I know till when you were going to delay it? You are a wisdom path gu master. You are the top in scheming. Are you still thinking of using this to cheat me again? We have not transacted this east window gu yet. Hee. With my one thought, the east window gu on your hand will self-destruct. Fang Yuan frowned. Could it be you don't trust me? Lang Yalan's spirit had suspicions all over his face. Humph. Just the fact alone that you are the inheritor of demon venerable stealing heaven. I can't trust you. You are so crafty and also have wisdom path methods. Once you exit the blessed land, can I still be able to chase you? In case you delay and take the chance to extort again, what would I do? Then how about you tell me what should we do? Fang Yuan impatiently said. Of course, now. Use this second aperture gu right in front of me. Only then can I be at ease. Lang Yalan's spirit stroked his grizzled beard, pleased at thinking of such a good idea. Fang Yuan grinned. Heh, I am only a mere rank 5 now. How can I use this immortal gu without immortal essence? Wait till I go out of the blessed land and ask for Grandpa to help me. Your grandfather can help you, but I can't? Don't speak rubbish. Lend the second aperture gu to me. I will personally do it. Fang Yuan tried to make an excuse. The land spirit saw this and felt that Fang Yuan had really wanted to trick him, thus his attitude became more firm. Fang Yuan looked like he had no choice and reluctantly let Langya land spirit help. Langya land spirit received the second aperture goo and poured immortal essence in it before throwing it to Fang Yuan. This second aperture goo turned into a bean-sized green light and flew into Fang Yuan's body. Fang Yuan's whole body shook intensely. The bean-sized green light first poured into Fang Yuan's navel area. But in there, it was rejected by Fang Yuan's aperture and could only hop over to the center of Fang Yuan's chest. Then an explosion sounded like the thunder from the sky. The bean-sized green light exploded and formed into a new aperture that looked both real and virtual. Second aperture. This is second aperture? Fang Yuan felt his chest and mumbled to himself in a daze. Nonsense. What is it if not the second aperture? Langya land spirit rolled his eyes. Second aperture has great advantages to cultivators like you, providing even greater advantage when you become goo immortal. But if you are still thinking of having the third aperture goo, that is impossible. You would have to deduce and infer this whole new third aperture goo's recipe. Fang Yuan returned to his senses and looked profoundly at Langya land spirit. The other intentionally raised this topic. No doubt it meant that he wanted to cooperate and deduce the goo recipe. Langya land spirit's face reddened when he saw Fang Yuan's evident gaze. Fang Yuan laughed and said his goodbye to Langya land spirit. We will talk of this later. I will take my leave now. Get lost, get lost. Langya land spirit repeatedly waved his hand. Only when Fang Yuan had completely left did Langya land spirit let out a breath of relief, a trace of humiliation appearing on his face for having his intentions seen through. This sly kid. But when he thought of Fang Yuan's last words, which showed the intent of cooperating, Langya land spirit's eyes flickered brightly. He stroked his beard and could not help falling in daydream. He had dozens and dozens more of incomplete goo recipes. Since the kid could deduce such secrets, he definitely has extraordinary achievements in wisdom path. With his help, I will be able to make some breakthrough in most of these goo recipes, and 13 of them could even be perfected. But just 2 people's cooperation is far from enough to complete the remaining 7 goo recipes. But I need to be vigilant when I interact with this kid in the future to avoid being schemed by him. Fortunately, I was cautious today and made him use second aperture goo on the spot. Otherwise, I might have been blackmailed by him again. Something does not feel right. I wasted immortal essence to activate the second aperture goo. After exiting Langya Blessed Land, Fang Yuan returned to Hu Immortal Blessed Land through Stargate goo. Under his management, Hu Immortal Blessed Land already showed many good changes. In the beautiful western part of the Blessed Land, large numbers of wolf groups and small numbers of fox groups were coexisting with each other. Wolf group's arrival might have disrupted the easy life of the fox group, but they did not disastrous casualties. The credit for all this went to the large numbers of iron shell flowers planted on the ground. Countless pink rabbits lived in this sea of iron shell flowers. Pink rabbits could be easily multiplied and became the main source of food of wolf groups and fox groups. The eastern part. Dreamy starlight pervaded the area, covering all the lakes with starry gauze. The wide expanse of dark clouds were planted with star fragment grass. The star fragment grass grew rapidly, and while they could only occupy the central area of the dark clouds at first, now they had already spread to the edges of the clouds. Fairy Yao Guang's planting methods are really good. Star fragment grass are the food of starlight fireflies, and at the same time their growth is rapidly increased with the help of the starlight fireflies. Fang Yuan repeatedly nodded his head. It was precisely because of the exchange for the starlight firefly group's breeding insights from Star-Lord Wan Xiang, Fairy Yao Guang, and others that he could avoid many detours and obtain quite a bit of gains. It is only that although the starlight firefly group is also expanding, but the number of starlight firefly goo are instead decreasing. These days, I have been repeatedly using Stargate goo. The consumption of the starlight firefly goo is much higher than the rate of their creation. Fang Yuan then turned his gaze towards the lakes on the ground. These lakes were created by him drawing in the water in reverse to quench the fire. Now, many water wolves were living around these lakes. These water wolves made their nests beside the lakes, eating the blue jade crucian carps in the lakes and sometimes going ashore to devour the earth-skin pigs who came to drink water. Blue jade crucian carps and earth-skin pigs were both animals Fang Yuan purchased before. Now, large groups of them had adapted to the new environment under Little Hu Immortal's control and became a part of the Hu Immortal Blessed Land's food chain. Especially the earth-skin pigs, its reproducing ability was stronger than even pink rabbits and could eat almost anything, including mud. The pig group scale was gradually expanding. If not for water wolves and poison beard wolves, the number of earth-skinned pigs would have been 30 to 40% higher.